I think this is a call that's probably mostly for you, I would say.
Oh, that's probably trouble. I
But
haven't
Patrick
looked
in Florida wants to talk about how Pan-Proto-Psychism could be God.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either, so we're screwed.
Hi.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hi, welcome.
Pardon me.
I'm doing great. I've kind of developed my faith over the years. I had a quote I'd like to start out with, if that's okay, that I believe relates.
Can I? Oh, go ahead, I guess, because I've heard of panpsychism, but I hadn't heard of pan-proto-psychism, so I wasn't sure what you were talking about.
You could look it up, the standard EU, but my brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. Nikola Tesla. I believe that relates to this pan-proto-psychism, where a panpsychist would think that consciousness is fundamental and ambiguous. I can't say that. Ambiguous, fundamental. The pan-proto-psychists believe that a proto-consciousness is fundamental. And that's what I believe, that a proto-consciousness or core for which Tesla spoke of, I believe that exists within the universe, and I believe it can be substantiated by objective reduction or OR theory by Roger Penrose and Hammeroff, where they, in that theory, OR links consciousness to processes and fundamental space-time geometry.
Okay, I think we're gonna end up flying off the rails, and we're gonna need to take this in small bites. So if I'm understanding you correctly, you believe that I suppose it sounds like you believe that all matter is conscious, right?
No, I believe
that there's an aspect of consciousness to all matter. You believe it's proto-conscious.
I believe that that permeates all matter, but not that all matter would be considered conscious.
Okay, so all matter exists in an ether, and that ether is consciousness, and that consciousness permeates into all matter, right? That's fair. So everything around us is conscious. Matter exists in the soup of consciousness, and thus it gets some consciousness on it because it exists within the consciousness, right?
And I believe that's what OR's theory is showing.
So you're saying that you agree. I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. But instead of affirming, you just started to say something different. So is that correct? Did I adequately represent what you think?
On what the science shows, it would be contingent ultimately upon what science deduces. But that's
is that what you think? Is that what you think? Yes or no? Is that what you think? Yes or no?
I believe there's a proto-consciousness that permeates everything, like the Tao of Tao.
So it was a yes or no question. I want to make sure that I'm representing your view correctly and that I understood it correctly. So I was mirroring it back to you in order to make sure that when we're having this conversation, that I'm having a conversation based on an understanding that's accurate. So I just want to make sure that that is the case before we continue the dialogue. So can you just affirm yes or no? Is that what you believe?
Yes, I believe I would say.
Okay, cool. So now I feel as though I understand what you're saying, but my issue with it is that there's a problem with coalescence. So the problem is with coalescence with me. Why is it that the constitution, the material constitution of the brain in amongst that soup has the required attributes to develop a consciousness, but other material coalescing does not then somehow have consciousness as an emergent property? What is it that you can determine about the molecules in my brain that makes it somehow have a different, and please allow me to finish so that I can finish my question. What is it that about the molecules in my brain which are arguably made up of the same types of atomic matter that many myriad other physical things are made up of, that allows the emergence of consciousness in this theory, but my cell phone and this lip gloss do not, even though they may have some of the same components. There's a coalescence issue that doesn't address that there are only a specific set of circumstances where matter is constituted in a specific set of way and then operates in a specific way that allow consciousness to emerge. And why is it that once the electrical impulses through my brain cease and the sodium ion transmission across my neural membrane cease, so that those action potentials don't fire my neurons anymore, why is it that that material, which is still fundamentally the same material that's existing in that consciousness soup, now is no longer consciousness when minutes prior it was, and is constituted of the exact same matter only seconds later? If you can answer that for me, then I might align with you, but that seems fundamentally impossible to overcome as a problem in this belief system.
OR, I believe, contends with what you speak of, but what it is.
Well, have them call us then.
In the cell walls. Listen for a second.
No, sir. No, sir. I've sat here nice and quiet throughout this whole thing. You don't get to tell me to listen. I've been listening.
Paramecium without a brain or nervous system exists.
I've been listening, and you have not.
You don't believe a single-celled paramecium exhibits consciousness without a brain or nervous system at all?
No.
It doesn't. It's also not answering my question. Well, it's positing a different question as a way of distracting from the fact that you can't answer my question. So why did you not answer my question? We're saying that matter in a specific constitution will have consciousness, but moments after that sodium ion transmission stops taking place, that is brain death. The brain itself doesn't fundamentally change its constitution from second to second when that takes place. However, inarguably, I'm no longer conscious. I'm deceased. My brain, the constitution of the material components of my brain do not change in that circumstance. And in order to believe what you are saying, I would have to believe that that brain continues to be conscious, because consciousness is based on that material coalescing in a certain state in this environment that is all consciousness. So that material interaction does not cease. Something else has to be the answer. And you not being able to answer that for me and instead positing something about paramecium is a distraction from the fact that maybe that's actually a really good fucking question.
OR theory deduces that consciousness could well continue after death. Yes, it does. You can check it. Look up OR theory. Google it. So
how would you demonstrate that consciousness exists after death? Or is that just something that you need to retain in order for this belief system to make sense?
Came out with that news on the theory. It's very current science. It's hard to keep up with. I'm trying to.
I am capable of keeping up with brain science. Thank you. I'm all set. I'm all set.
Patrick, stop talking and listening. Is this your field? Do you have a degree in this?
Oh my goodness.
Have you been studying this as part of an actual project? Or is this your armchair?
One of you have a degree in this.
That doesn't fucking matter.
I'm looking at it.
That doesn't matter. We acknowledged right off the bat that we don't understand this. The problem here is that you think you do, and you can't answer Shannon's question, nor have you presented evidence. Instead, you want to keep pointing to so-and-so said this, or OR theory says this. I wanted to know what you believed in why, not what you read and don't fucking understand.
You didn't even understand what.
Goodbye.
Oh my gosh. I mean, maybe it did just come out and I haven't read it. And so I don't take issue with the theory. It might be a fascinating theory. Maybe I'll go look it up. What I take issue with is the condescension and the inability to, anyway, yeah. Whatever. It's fine.
You and I don't have degrees in this.
I do. I'm looking at it.
And I'm like, I also didn't call you to tell you that I know something I don't know. You called us to tell us stuff that you don't know.
Oh, goodness gracious.
It's wild.